Hey guys, happy Wednesday. It's Daryl here. I just got back from my bike ride. It's a chilly day here in Connecticut. It's about 45 out there. When I'm on my bike, it gets a lot colder. All right, I want to make one more video. I put a lot of thought into the shooting of that jogger, and I drew a lot of similarities to what happened in the Michigan State House. The way the protesters were all dressed up, and a lot of them, I saw a lot of them carrying large guns. One looked like a 50 caliber. I don't know if it could have possibly been. I don't know if it was a photo taken there or it was one of those old tricks where they used another photo. Anyway, I drew some similarities, and I've never drawn a gun. I've owned guns my whole life. I've shot guns. I've never drawn a gun on anyone. One time when I was 10 years old, after my dad died, I believed that my house was being broken into by a car full of teenagers, and I ran to get a shotgun that was loaded in my mom's room as my mom sat on the couch and my little baby sister was in a crib. And that was at 10 years old, and that, I'll never forget that, but that's the closest I ever got. I didn't have to get it, they drove away. Anyway, I'd like to draw the first thing I want to talk about is intimidation. And using the bluff method of poker, like poker, having a poker face and bluffing. Both are two very bad things to do whenever you're in a physical confrontation. The best thing to do in a physical, be it a fist fight, a potential fist fight, or with a gun, is try not to do it. Try not to get in that situation. Do whatever you can to get out of it. This is what I've learned, and I think when we talk about alpha males or leaders, I think most of them would agree. Intimidation will get you killed or hurt trying to use that. And let me explain why. Let me say first of all that I've been in a lot of fights in my life. After my dad died, I was a fat, quiet kid, and I was the biggest kid in class. I got picked on a lot. Then we moved to the tough side of town. When I was 13, and I was getting picked on every day, stuff stolen from me, and I learned to fight. And I grew about a foot, and I lost all the weight, and I got physically fit, and then I transformed physically. And let me tell you what I've learned. Intimidation, like when I first started getting into scraps, I knew how to box, but I didn't quite understand street fighting. One of the biggest mistakes I learned to make was when you go up to somebody and you hear somebody go, "Hey, you got a problem? No, you got a problem?" The biggest mistake is when you then see somebody push their chest, the chest of another person. That right there, that kind of interaction, that will get your ass beat. I've learned this. Once street fighting, and once you understand how to do it, first of all, you try to avoid it whenever you can. There's no winner from what I found. I've never felt good, even winning. There's times that I've lost and I felt better. There's times that I've gotten beaten by like 5 guys in a circle around me with my face bones broke, my nose broke, ended up in the hospital, and I felt great because I took a hell of a beating and I still kept fighting. I felt better that time than I actually felt ever hurting somebody else and winning. To be honest, it's a no-win situation, and I imagine it's the same thing with a weapon. Now, I think most experienced people that respect guns, a lot of policemen, not all, but I'm sure a lot of them, especially a lot of people probably in the military that have been in conflict, understand. My father taught me, you never point a gun at anybody unless you intend to shoot him. And if you ever do, and you have to intend to kill them. And it was the same thing I learned with fighting. You don't just push somebody, go up and talk. You don't talk smack. I got myself punched in the face whenever I tried that. Sure, sometimes it will work. Sometimes you'll come up against another smack talker, but there's going to be a lot of times when you come up against somebody that's got experience. And when you go to start talking that smack, hey, you got a problem, acting like a tough guy, and this is like I said, the biggest mistake is putting hands on anybody. If you're going to put hands on somebody, you go for specific areas with the full. Once you touch somebody, you have the full intent of punching them hard, and keep punching until that person is on the ground. That's got to be the mindset. You don't just push somebody. Got my ass kicked a lot of times before I learned that. Same thing with a weapon. Now, these guys going into the state house, the way they were dressed, you got to assume a lot of that was in their mind. I think of playing video games and watching movies. It was about intimidation, that if I go in there looking tough, dressed up like I mean business, they're going to take me seriously. And it's a bad move. What if, for whatever reason, a couple state cops, or 3-4, a line of state cops, pulled their service revolvers and drew down right there? What would those guys have done at that moment, besides for die? Not a whole lot. That's the whole thing with this intimidation. It'll get you killed, or you'll get somebody else killed and you'll end up in jail. Intimidation, never a good tactic in my book. It's gotten, my nose has been broke more times than you can count, and that my orbital discs underneath my eyes. I've already pulled my teeth out for you guys. And that's what I equate. This gentleman here in Georgia, that I have to wonder why he let his son get out and take the chance when he obviously had more experience with firearms. Why he let his son get out, hop out, or maybe he didn't want him to, I don't know. But his son got out with a shotgun and obviously was ill-equipped to deal with this situation, as apparently he took a shot at the jogger, which was just, it was pointless. This man died for nothing. And on top of that, this guy was sloppy. He almost lost his weapon. As a matter of fact, the way I see it is, that jogger, if he had gotten the shotgun from that son, he would have been in his full right to kill him, to kill the son of the officer that initiated the confrontation. As far as the stand your ground rule, I don't know how they can claim stand your ground when you follow somebody, you chase them down in a pickup truck and jump out of a truck and approach them with weapons, and how you could turn that into standing your ground. I have no idea. But yeah, just I avoid conflict at all costs. There's still times when I lose my temper, and I never feel good about that. I've never felt good. I think a lot of it is due to inexperience. Once you've experienced violence, it's not a pleasant feeling. I think you see these movies and you play the video games, and it's a completely different. It's nothing like reality. When you get the fight or flight feeling, tasting, smelling blood, the pain, it's a very unpleasant thing. And this is the only thing I have to quantify like a gun. Like I said, I don't have a lot of experience. I've never pulled a gun on anybody, but it reminds me a lot of bluffing. When I first moved to that tough neighborhood, I tried, without the experience of actually street fighting, I tried to bluff my way. Being a tough guy, chest to chest, and the pushing, and I subsequently got my ass handed to me, because a good fighter, a real fighter, won't say a word. A true fighter, a true alpha male, will do what they can to use words, just to avoid the confrontation and work it out. At the last thing I say, or most of these people would say, is, this is your last chance to walk away, or this day is going to get really bad for both of us. And that's it. After that moment, no more talking. There's no pushing. There's no shoving. It's a direct shot to specific areas intended to put the person down, and you don't stop until it's unpleasant. It makes me tense just talking about it. you don't feel good at the end of the day. You don't go home with a big old heart on, you know. As a matter of fact, it will. Every conflict I've ever had haunts me, especially when you win, because then you have to ask yourself: is this person going to seek retribution? Am I going to have this guy's uncle come up behind me with a baseball bat 2 months from now? That's stuff I've had to live with, and it's a very real thing. Walking away, man. Never use intimidation. And these guys that bring their weapons out into public and use them, as I say, as a prop, it's a bad idea. I think it's something that people that are very inexperienced and unsure of themselves, not confident in themselves, I think that's stuff they do. That's what I see. I think somebody that's got confidence in themselves, a true operator, or somebody that's been in war, I don't think would ever even think of parading around the state capitol in these combat fatigues with these guns. I don't think. Maybe some would. I don't know. So anyway, that's the last thought I have on this subject today. Avoid conflict at all costs. And intimidation is a tactic best left unused. You know, that's it. All right, you guys have a good Wednesday.